It is Humza Yousaf who has decided to tear up the basis on which that cooperation was taking place and being successful.
How can he work with us after having treated us this way?
Absolutely.
Patrick Harvey, do you believe Humza Yousaf will still be First Minister this time next week?
That's a decision for the entire Parliament to make, but we discussed the situation within our parliamentary group. No one was arguing for a different position than the one we've set out this evening.
Will it feel like revenge if he isn't?
That would not be... I genuinely think that we shouldn't sort of lean into those kind of pretty toxic, divisive thoughts. This is a situation that is not of our making. We deeply regret that Humza Yousaf has brought this situation about by tearing up an agreement that was working well to achieve political cooperation, locking in a progressive pro-independence majority government. I think that had great value to him, to his party, to the Scottish Government and to Scotland. And I think it's a matter of deep regret that he's decided to abandon that.
Did he give you an indication this morning why he changed his mind in the last 48 hours? What it was for him that made him decide now was the time today?
It was clear to me that it was because of pressure from the Conservative wing of his own party, from right-wing and the vested interests that have been putting pressure on our progressive cooperation agreement. This is a real threat for progressive politics in Scotland and indeed across the UK, that a government that up until now has been proudly progressive, working for equalities, working for climate and nature, has now decided to back away with that and support, under pressure from the right-wing and Conservative part of that party.
Are you talking about SNP MSPs in Holyrood?
The SNP, absolutely, SNP MSPs in Holyrood, but we've also seen interference from Westminster as well. So the Scottish Greens are the progressive voice of the independence movement in Scotland, and we will continue to be.
Humza Yousaf was clear that he...
The 1979 moment, a decision that could haunt the party for decades to come.
So I didn't hear the first part of the question.
Is there a risk this becomes the Greens' 1979 moment, a decision where you bring down a government that could haunt the party?
The First Minister made the decision today to end the cooperation agreement that had a majority, a pro-independence majority government. That was a solid position that we have kept going for 2.5 years. He chose to end that. We have seen a surge in membership already from our party today, as we expect pro-independence, progressive people who share our vision for a fairer and greener future are joining the Scottish Greens.
How did he actually phrase that in that conversation this morning? You talk about him sort of leaning towards the right of his party, but how did that conversation actually unfold?
No, I don't think it would be appropriate to disclose the specific detail of a private conversation. It was a robust conversation. It was frank. And I think from not only from what we've heard in person, but from what everybody heard in the chamber today, I think it's clear that Humza Yousaf wasn't really able to explain how within the space of 48 hours he could go from saying that the Butte House Agreement was worth its weight in gold and he wanted it to continue to now saying it's run its course. There's legislation that we've only just introduced, for example, on rent controls, one of the high priorities for our members. There's legislation we were yet to introduce protecting the natural environment. All of that is at threat now because of the decision that Humza Yousaf has made, and I think Scotland will pay the price. But honestly, what else can anyone think Humza Yousaf thought was going to happen as a result of this?
How difficult a decision has this been for your group?
To vote in the vote of no confidence. It was unanimously supported by the group. We are clear that we are the continuation voice of progressive politics in Scotland. We wanted to deliver what was in the Butte House. It is the First Minister who has backed away from delivering that programme.
Yeah, I think the decision was clear. I don't think anyone should pretend that it was easy, though. This is a difficult situation for all of us. As Greens, we believe in cooperation. We've been busting a gut to try and achieve, and I think succeeding at achieving over the last 2 or 3 years, that cooperative spirit in politics. I think it's deeply damaging that Humza Yousaf has decided to end that. And the situation is difficult. We don't relish drama for drama's sake here. We have put a huge amount of effort into both Lorna and myself and the whole rest of our party into making that cooperation agreement work. It's already achieved really important things for Scotland. It could have achieved so much more if the First Minister had allowed it to continue.
Were you approached by anyone in the SNP during the course of today to try and persuade you not to back that no confidence motion?
There has been no approach to us from the SNP on the matter.
Well, I mean, yeah, not of the kind that you've mentioned. I think it is worth saying we've had a number of very warm comments from SNP members who also feel pretty disconcerted by this shock decision of Humza Yousaf, and I've spoken to members of the SNP who don't quite get what he thought was going to happen.
Do you think this cabinet is split on this?
Well, you're going to have to ask them.
We were not privy to the cabinet discussion this morning.
Will you feel any regret at all if this decision leads to a more right-wing leader, which you clearly don't want?
I think there's already been a step to the right. You know, Humza Yousaf had to make a choice between his own more conservative backbenchers and working with us, and he made that choice. So that move has already been made. The Scottish Greens will remain consistent. We will remain progressive and stick to our values.
Two more questions, guys. Just two more.
Cause of independence, and will you still be willing to share a platform with Mr Yousaf on a Yes campaign march, for example?
I think the cause of independence was well served by having a progressive pro-independence majority government. I think the cause of independence is not well served by Humza Yousaf's decision to tear that up. Okay.
So, would you back going to the people and having an election if Humza Yousaf is removed and a new independence?
That's for the standing orders of the Scottish Parliament are quite clear about the process of what would happen if a motion of no confidence was to pass. But you'll have lots of drama to follow next week, I'm sure. Thanks, everybody, very much.
Thank you, everyone.
So there we are. That the co-leaders of the Scottish Greens, they are saying it's not a situation of their making. It is a matter of deep regret that Humza Yousaf decided to scrap the Butte House agreement, which he announced earlier this morning. And they call it a real threat to progressive politics in the UK. And Conor Gillis has been listening to that news conference in Edinburgh. And Conor, well, confirmed then that the Scottish Greens will be voting against Humza Yousaf in this vote of confidence.
Yeah, it was hard to see how this would go any other way, but let's remember these were two leaders of the Green Party who were in government with Humza Yousaf and the SNP just 24 hours ago. They were sacked this morning and asked if this was an act of revenge in the last few minutes, something that they denied. But this has been a very, very tricky day, a bombshell day for the First Minister, who tried to reset the narrative this morning by bringing the two Green leaders that you just witnessed there, Patrick Harvie and Lorna Slater, hauling them in to Butte House, the official residence of the First Minister of Scotland, and telling them that it was game over for the Butte House agreement, the pro-independence agreement that is in place or has been in place since 2021 here at Holyrood. It made things better for the SNP, getting through key votes and clearly passing their budgets. But things really went off the rails in the last few days. The Greens were proposing a vote to scrap that towards the end of next month. Humza Yousaf got on the front foot this morning and got rid of them, and that has led to the chain of events that have ultimately led to the forthcoming vote of no confidence in Humza Yousaf that the Greens will now support. And all eyes on next week, with both Labour, the Lib Dems and the Conservatives and now the Greens all voting against Humza Yousaf. Is his fate sealed? And is the very future of the SNP in here at Holyrood and this government at risk?
OK, Conor, thank you very much indeed from Edinburgh.